All right, Richie Nancy, we're back with Xena, so we're getting her started on the down. And I'm going to tell you, in the beginning, they don't want to do it. It's the physically easy thing. I don't know, that isn't even a word. Physically, it's the easiest thing a dog can do. Psychologically, it's very, very difficult. So, keeping my foot on there, we're just giving her treats. And this is how we're going to disengage her later. So, you need to get Xerxes started with this. You need to be able to get them both, and get them both laying down. So I'm giving her the treats for being down. I've got my foot on there so she can't get back up. So now what I'm going to start doing is doing the heeling and downing concurrently. We're still working on defining the heel, though. It's not like, well, she knows that. And everybody at home knows this, but I used to work for this place in California called Pro Train. It was the biggest rip-off. Oh, I hope to God they are watching. They would bring the dogs there. I don't even remember how much it was, but this was a long time ago. But it was some ridiculous price. And the people would leave the dog there for 5 days. So on Monday, you were supposed to teach it to sit. On Tuesday, you're supposed to teach it to down. On Wednesday, you're supposed to teach it to heel. On Thursday, you're supposed to teach it to stay. And on Friday, you're supposed to teach it. I kid you not, you guys. So they would leave these dogs there for 5 days, and it was in this warehouse. It was in Oakland. Sonny Barger was actually one of their clients, one of the Hells Angels, Sonny Barger. There you go. And he had some of his lieutenants. These guys drove Ferraris and all that. And I remember they sold them this Doberman Demon with this dog's name. But this dog was not tough enough for Hells Angels. I mean, I didn't know what was going to happen if they were going to come back and firebomb the place, because they sold them these dogs for ridiculous amounts of money. In fact, I think Sonny Barger's my Facebook friend. Sonny Barger had a Rottweiler, and he had like a trach tube thing, so he controlled it with a whistle. Anyway, that's what this place was. He was just training at one command a day for 5 days. And then they would give the people lifetime classes, and oh my God, it was the biggest scam ever. Anyway, all right, enough of that. All right, so let's, I was just always fascinated by the fact that these guys drove Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and all this stuff. They were big and scary too. That one lieutenant, they made me work with him. This guy was terrifying. Xena, terrifying, I tell you. Yeah, they bought these guard dogs from this place. You know, this demon was supposedly a attack train. You know, I mean, and this guy was like 6'4", heel. I kid you not, 6'4". You know, and I'm like, whatever enemies this guy has, this dog isn't tough enough. Heel. You know, I'm sure they used it to guard the clubhouse. I don't know. I don't remember what the drug of choice back then was, but they were probably manufacturing it. Down. So I'm just applying a little bit of good. Oh, good girl. And I'm not requiring her to go on the hip yet. Good girl. Good girl. Keeping my foot on there. Good girl. There's not going to be a sit or anything, Nancy. It's just going to be go straight into a down. Good girl. You know, but I mean, I think they sold those dogs back then for like $3,500. Not like those guys didn't have the money. They were driving Ferraris and Lamborghinis, but yet dressed out in Hells Angels colors. I mean, it made no sense. I didn't have as good of an understanding of the world back then, but I knew it didn't make any sense. Xena, heel. So I'm bringing her around that turn with the pager. So I'm going to start my pager before I start to turn. Heel. Oh my good Lord, Xena. Heel. Good. So because she's being so grabby, I'm not going to only use the treat here when I get her down. So I'm just going to down. Oh, good girl. I'm going to wait until she gets her elbows. Good, good. It's very important to have that dynamic where you suddenly act quickly. Good. And you see, by keeping my foot on there, it prevented her from getting all the way up. It was easier to get her to go back down. Anyway, in the picture, she went to pose for the pictures the other day, girl. She just put her ears down. She put her ears flat. She just didn't want to get a picture taken. Heel. Good. Heel. Good. Heel. Good. Good. So I'm just keep returning back to the same spot where I just was, so she knows what's getting ready to happen. Down. Gear them towards success. I started adding the pager on that last time. Good. Now lift her up with the pager. Xena, heel, turn up with the pager. Keeping the leash really, really loose. Lowering the leash down. Oh, good, good. Oh, she's doing fabulous. More updates soon.